We in the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. With Rob. We in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Yeah, I'm in the studio with Rob. I need to make the heat flicker. Izzle on it, only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom. Gemstones on your head. Hood with the OG like Flintstones, good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how you feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influence that you ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob. Come let the heat rock simmer.
In the studio with Rob, take 4.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back.
Hey, you sound like Martin.
Welcome to another episode of In the Studio with Rob. And I am Rob. And you are in the studio with me. Also in the studio with me is my man Izzle.
Here.
What's going on, young fella?
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Glad to have you. Hey, guess what? Somebody asked me to talk about when I moved from Philly to Virginia.
Okay.
And, talk about the challenges and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it. And I'm going to hit it a little bit, but I don't want to just talk about that. Because what I figure I talk about more is why there's a real value in young people moving around. And I mean, when you're young, to move around. And choosing where you go and then finding, where you're going to work, where you're going to live, all that good stuff.
Well, what were they asking you about it?
Because, mine was a little different because I moved because of a job. I had a job and it happened to be there, so that's where I went.
You were just actively trying to move somewhere.
Yeah, I wasn't really looking for that at the moment. So, however, I have moved many times in my life, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit and some of the values and things that I've learned from moving. Always, when I went in the Army and I got stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington. I'm not talking about nowhere in D.C. people. For those don't look at a map.
Washington State.
Yeah, look at a map.
Check a map.
And one thing I found out real quick, it was like I was in another country, but they spoke English. It was just, it was so different from the East Coast. That's all I knew at the time. And it was so different. The TV and radio, instead of starting with W, whatever, it started with K. They had the music and the flavor that they listened to was different. They were.
He was bumping Kendrick.
Nah, Kendrick wasn't even born, bro. He wasn't there. He wasn't around yet.
Yeah.
Or he might have been born. I don't know how old the boy is. But anyway, that was 30 plus years ago.
He's 30 plus years old.
Oh, okay. So he was born, but he wasn't doing that. But anyway, but their music, their flavor was a lot different, and you kind of get used to that the longer you're out there. But that was a change that I was like, yo, this is so different. But I think one of the things it gave me was, and it helped me even from all my other like East Coast moves growing up, was it gave me a sense of adaptability that I knew. I was like, I know I can adapt to whatever. I can figure this out. And I had to figure it out, which was cool. I think like in Philly, one of the things that I noticed when I was young and went to Philly was a lot of people stayed in their neighborhood. So if you grew up in North Philly, you basically stayed in North Philly. You did everything in North Philly. North Philly had everything you wanted, needed, whatever. And same thing in West Philly, North, Southwest, and all the other. And down south, we kind of like moved around a little bit more, traveled into other communities and different neighborhoods a lot more. So that was different to kind of come. And I know my dad was like, yo, what you doing down in it? No, this part of town. I was like, yo, I don't know. I just went down and see what's up, because I was used to traveling or experiencing other neighborhoods. But now what I notice is that, even like a lot of people in Philadelphia and a lot of other cities, only city they've ever lived in was that city. Meaning they've only been in Philadelphia, or they've only been in Columbia, they've only been in Woodbridge, or wherever they've lived. And I think they do themselves a disservice sometimes by not living in other places when you're young. You can come back wherever, but again, you live whatever you want. But I think one of the things that happens when you move and you experience another city is that you have that personal growth of, mental strength that comes on you, that adaptability. I got to adapt to something else. I got to learn my resourcefulness. It has to become, it becomes, I guess, heightened. I have to figure out a new mechanic, a new grocery store, a new school for the kids. If I got kids, I got to figure out
Barber.
Yeah, new barber and hairdresser for you. Because I know, somebody do your hair. Y'all crazy about that. Just like men. Look, I don't want everybody cut my hair. I get comfortable with a dude. I'm gonna stay with him for 20 years. My kids went, same barber I went to. So, you get comfortable. But now you got to do all that and find all those things. But it's okay.
Shout out to Jones and Brown.
Yeah, but you got to figure that out. And it's cool that you can, you move and you figure those things out. But it's also a new culture. As much as we talk about, the black culture is even different in other cities. It's not the same black culture everywhere. Now, overall, yes, we pretty much the same. But there are nuances if you live in Philadelphia versus Atlanta, or if you lived in Atlanta versus Columbia, or if you lived in Virginia versus whatever. There's a lot of different nuances that change that cultural experience that you have to now figure out and kind of flow with, figure out how to flow into. Because as much as you think, it's like, I'm from New York, and you think you're going to go into LA, they don't care about the New York culture in LA. They got their own culture. So you're going to figure out, or you're going to have to adjust and adapt to that in some ways. Now, you still going to have overall where you were raised, but you're going to have those adjustments that you have to make, which is great because it's going to make you a more well-rounded person. But then there's also diversity. There's certain places you go that have more diversity, and certain places are going to have less. So you have to adjust to the diversity of the changing cities that you go into. One of the big things you also do, and this is probably one of the most important, is that your friends, because a lot of times people have friends. I grew up with these people, and I grew up, so you got friends that you grew up with. But when you move, you now gain friends based off of common interests, based off of your adult values, based off of your goals. They're not based off of we played in the sandbox together, which is cool, and you'll always have that. But when you start meeting people with the same interests, the same values, and they become your friends, I think it's a stronger bond even than that, because even in that sandbox friendship. I got friends that I met in Philly, and like my man O and AG, it's like, those dudes are friends that I have based off me being an adult. My man Terry Brown, that's my he's like my brother now, but that's my friend based off of an adult relationships, and adult values, and those people, and I could, I won't leave people out, but I know I am Kevin, and some of the other Jerome and John, all these other people that I got. But anyway, you base it off of the values and goals you have, and it becomes a stronger bond, and there's things that bring you together are not just that we went to the same elementary school, which is cool. But like I said, some people I went to elementary school with, I ain't had nothing in common with them no more. They don't have nothing in common with me. People I went to high school with, and that's fine, but we don't have nothing in common. We went our different ways. We experienced different things. Now, there are some that you may still have things in common with. But overall, just to hold on to that and say, I can't leave, or I don't want to start over, you do yourself a disservice by not challenging yourself to grow beyond your little city. As big as your city may be, it's still the little thing that you know. And this country, this world is so big that if you have the opportunity, you should take advantage of trying to experience different cultures, different cities, different people, and see how they flow and see the things that they could possibly add to your life.
But do I have to live there?
Yeah,
I can't just go visit.
No, because again, you can go visit and have a good time and leave, but that's not experience. That's you won't get the full experience of the culture. You won't get the full experience of life in that city. You'll just get the vacation rules. You'll get the hey, this is how we enjoy ourselves. And then if you did go there, you were like, yo, this ain't real. They don't do this all the time. I thought they was always this
right now always drunk.
Yeah, they just doing this right now because I'm here. But no, when you live there, then what you find is that even though I visit and I thought it was cute, but when I live there, now I have to build a life around where I am. And my life encompasses, if I took a family with me, my wife, my kids, then it encompasses around them and we build out from there. Or if I'm by myself, then it builds out from probably my job and the things that I build out from there as I start to grow. But I think, when we do ourselves a disservice because of fear. And I think, one of the things that happens is that a lot of people won't go because they have the fear of the unknown. It's like, that was a cool place to see or go visit, but I don't know if I can live there because I don't know how. Yeah, you don't know. But that could also be the exciting part. The unknown doesn't have to stop you from doing it. It's like if you learn to swim, as much as you can swim, you're like, yeah, I can swim. But if you go and dive off the diving board, it's a different experience. So you like, I can swim, but I don't know about the diving board. But once I do it, it's like, that was fun. That was exciting. But so it's the same thing. You already know how to live. You just don't know how to live over there. So you got to experience that and see what that experience is like. And you might like it. Again, if you don't like it, at some point you just go back or go somewhere else, move somewhere else. It's nothing saying you have to stay in any one spot for the rest of your life. And I think sometimes we pigeonhole ourselves into a city or a state or even a country to say, oh, I have no choice. You got plenty of choices, and your life has you should want to grow and want to experience new things and want to see what this new city can be. It can offer you maybe offer you a lot of things that you didn't expect, good and bad, but you'll figure out how to adjust to that as well. But I will tell you, when you move and you leave your friends, your family, or whatever, you move, you're going to experience a loneliness. You're going to get lonely. It's understandable that you're going to be like, I could go to my brother's house and talk to him anytime I wanted to, or I could call, go see my sister and hang out with them anytime I wanted to. My homeboy was on the street. Yeah, you can't do that. But what happens is you got to gain new friends, new communities, new people to fulfill that lonely space that you have. You under the assumption that the only time or the only friends you're gonna have is right in your city. That's not true unless you make it that way. But you can have friends everywhere. Like I said, I didn't grow up in Philly, but some of my best friends are from Philly, or I met in Philly. So, but I didn't grow up there, but the ones I talk to the most are there. Because, and same, I got, a couple of friends in Virginia that, over the time that I spent there, they're like brothers to me. So you can gain friends. And like I always say, and even for you as well, I know making friends ain't a problem. If you want to make friends, you make friends. I can make friends. We friendly people for the most part. We try to do that. We try to enjoy people. So moving isn't the issue. The issue is, what are you afraid of? Why are you afraid to take a chance? And getting the understanding of why you're afraid will help you now push the fear to the back and make the move that you really want to make. It's okay. I know, like, I always said, when I got out there, I was like, man, if my mom wasn't so far away, I would have stayed in Washington. But at the same time, if I was smart and if I really wanted to stay out there, I should have stayed and I could visit my mom anytime I wanted to. I still could visit, you know, and then with all the technology came about, we could have been, you know, FaceTime and everything else, which is now everybody has that. So you don't have to be in the room with somebody every day. You can see them and talk to them every day if you want to. But again, there's different experiences and you have to go through that. So for me personally, I would recommend, if you have never lived anywhere but where you live, and I think that sometimes we think about, well, yeah, man, I grew up in let's say you grew up in New York City in Harlem, and you moved to Brooklyn. No, it's still the same. I mean, again, not that they don't have different flavor, but I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about something completely out of your comfort zone. I ain't talking about moving from Camden to Pennsauken. You know, I'm talking about making a
world.
yeah,
Different world.
yeah, sometimes. But I'm talking about really making a move that could move you where you can't run to that comfort of, oh well, all else failed, I can run right down, may take me about 10 miles and I can still go to my barber, or I can, my wife, when we moved to Virginia, for almost a year, she would come back to Philly to get her hair done. 3 hours, or 3.5 for her probably, but 3.5 hours to get her hair done every 3 weeks, because she was so comfortable with her hairstylist and she didn't want to change. Eventually she did, and she had to find somebody else. But most people won't do that. They ain't driving that far, and that's not even a good thing to do. It's like, find connections where you are. But eventually she found the connections, and she loved the person that was doing her hair down there. Now we moved again, and and she found somebody here in Delaware. So you have to, you kind of have to find or look for that new. Let me find something new. Let me find people new that I can, not to say I'm turning off, because if I run into those other people, it's cool and we still want to be great, and they can come visit me, I can go visit them. So we ain't losing my friends. I'm not losing my connections. I'm just growing in new connections and new friends. So with that, let me ask you this, Ism, because I know, have you ever considered leaving Philly?
I did leave Philly. Remember, I went to Florida. I moved to Orlando.
Okay. Yeah, you went to Florida for a couple of years, but
It was 6 months, but
6 months.
yeah, but it felt like a couple years. Yeah,
it did seem
I was going to say the time. I was not going to say the time, but I couldn't let you just lie.
Oh, I thought it was longer than
I know, right? I feel like I didn't correct you. I was lying.
All right, so for 6 months you went there. That's all like
6 months again.
But you have to figure out some things.
Right, man.
Figure out the wrong things sometimes. The car, but
I was 18. I never had a car before either.
But but it's funny. But since you've been back, and so you, as an adult, you kind of locked into Philly for the last 20 years, almost 20. You ain't that old, but almost 20 years. But have you considered a move?
Yes. Yeah, but short. It's short lived whenever I do.
What would stop you from moving?
My son.
Okay, yeah. And that's a challenge, especially when they're young. It's like, oh man, I can't go and leave, and not, So that's a challenge. But for some people, you don't have no son or no daughter.
That's literally all. If it wasn't that, I'd have been out a few times.
Where would you go?
I don't necessarily have a place in mind. I'm just open to going somewhere. Like wherever, it could be somewhere just depending on my mood or the day that I could decide or see.
You think your wife would move?
Yeah.
You think she would? Okay. Yeah. It's funny. Like I said, when it was time to move from here, like my wife, all she do was Philly. That was her home. She went, of course, and served in the Army for a few years, but she came to D.C., so she wasn't that far. But she was always home. So when it was time to actually move away, initially she was like, yeah, let's do it. She was excited. But then when it was happening, a lot of fear set in. And I understood that because she had never moved and never left her family like that. And especially, and going to the unknown, all those things happened to her, which was cool, but she got over it. She figured it out. And I think she'll tell you as well, it was one of the best moves we ever made. But I just think, young people. I got a goddaughter. She would move and drop her down. She has no problem figuring out new stuff, and I applaud her for that. I think it's such a courageous way to be in life, to figure out where can I live next, what can I experience next. And really, that's what it's all about. It's really not about the fact that you're moving and leaving somewhere. It's about your next experience. And life is about experiences, built on experiences that a lot of us either take for granted or don't have. And you should experience those different life challenges, life adventures for yourself. So again, I'm not saying if you stay wherever you live forever, there's something wrong with you. No, that's cool. It is what it is.
Might be though. We're not saying there's not something wrong with you. I don't know. Look in the mirror. Ask yourself the tough questions.
But what I am saying is that there is an experience that you missed out on by not going outside of your comfort zone of this small little area that you've always been in. I know, people that are, really, 70, 80 years old, and they still live in the same area. Everything about their city they can tell you about, which is great. But they don't know nothing else. They never got an opportunity to see that this world is so big and so vast of opportunities and people, but they never experienced that. So again, don't be afraid to take a chance on some of those experiences that you could have. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to sometimes tell your friends, hey, I'm moving. Because they can come visit you.
Sometimes tell your friends, hey, I'm moving.
I'm moving. Don't leave. Because again, people don't want to leave. So it's like, I ain't telling, I don't want to go nowhere because these are my friends and I'm going to miss them. Trust me, your friends will come visit you. And if they can't afford to come visit you, they probably was leeching off you anyway. But again, your friends come visit you. We used to have, when we moved to Virginia, we used to have barbecues and different things. People come down from Philly. People come from South Carolina. They come visit. If they want to see you, they're going to come visit you. We went and visited everybody, so we never stopped visiting or seeing people. But again, we just had a different home. We had different experiences that we were going to be locked into on a normal basis. Our normal was no longer just this. It was now this. And so we had to figure out, like I said, new barbers, new schools for the kids, new church, which is also a difficult thing at times. So you got to experience those things. But it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. So I would encourage you all, take a chance. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the way it feels. It's real love. But anyway, yeah. So with that, any questions, Israel? Anything from the people, man? What you got, bro? Comments.
I feel like a comment would be I feel like an extended stay in certain places
That's vacation,
could serve to be. But if you vacation, sure, but you can mingle in the neighborhoods and all that type of stuff, as opposed to necessarily like where you're staying.
Nah, not the same. Again, I'm not saying you can go wherever you want to go and do your little extended stay and all that. That's cool. But that ain't living somewhere.
I'm nitpicking here. Yeah, it's not like I'm against moving. Like I said, I would 100% move. And most of those moves you were talking about, I was a part of. So I'm cool with moving around. It's something.
What's funny though? It's like the same people that are really against moving are the same people that really don't, especially as they get old, they don't even travel that much. It's like everything is too far. Mm-hmm. Everything is too far because you've never gone anywhere before.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people in Philly that they've never been outside of Philly, like farther than like Atlantic City or something.
Yeah, it's like the furthest you're going to ride is an hour away and think you've done something. Mm-hmm. Come on, bro. Look, Pennsylvania itself is huge. So the fact that you would only say, well, I've been to Atlantic City from Philly. Okay, so it took you an hour and a half to get there, and that's you. That's all you got. And again, I'm not saying there's something wrong with that, but I'm just saying that the world is so much bigger than that, and the people are so much better when you get to experience them on a daily basis. And again, you get to find out what friends I have and what friends can I gain. People that you can talk to, again, I can talk to some people about when I was a kid. I can talk to some people about what I'm going through right now because they're going through it. We have those shared values, and we built that. So again, I just think it's important that people look at how do we continue to grow? How do we continue to expand our mind? And sometimes that means leaving where you are, getting out your comfort zone. I think one of the worst things that happen in our life sometimes is we get so comfortable that we stop growing. And you can't stop growing just because I don't want to change. I'm scared of change. I don't, this is safe and this feels good. Yeah, but something else could feel so much better. And if it don't, leave and go somewhere else after that. Nobody's saying you got to stay nowhere forever.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I just hope you guys, think about where you live and the value of moving and the value of, experiencing different culture. There is a huge value in it. And I'm not saying it will be easy. I'm not saying, once you move, everything goes great. No, it's some struggles going to come with it.
Nobody told me
you're going to have to figure it out.
Would be easy.
So you're going to have to, it won't be easy, but you're going to figure it out and it'll be worth it. So as you go through this thing, just make sure you think about what you want to do and then make your plans. Because again, even with a move, you got to plan to move. You can't just pick up and say, I'm just going to leave. Unless you're single and got no kids and you just got your car and your clothes, you throw them in the car and go wherever you want. And you can work from wherever you work from home, so it don't matter. But for the most part, what you want to do is make a plan. Visit a place and say, I kind of like this place. I like to experience these people, this culture a little differently. And then if that's where you want, find you a job that's there and find you a place to live and move. It ain't that deep. Don't make it as complicated. Make it so complicated that you can't do it. Because what you can do is you'll end up talking yourself out of something that may be a blessing for you. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up, people. I hope you got something.
Wrap it up like Christmas. You heard?
I hope you got something out of this. I ain't got no presents for you but I hope y'all got something out of this. And so until next time.
No Santa.
What you gonna do? What you gonna tell the people, Izzo?
I'm gonna tell y'all what I be telling y'all every week. Like and subscribe. And after you like and subscribe, tell a friend to subscribe. Then tell that same friend to like. And then tell that friend to tell their next friend to like and subscribe simultaneously. And so on, and so on, and so on.
There it is. Like and subscribe. Do all that good stuff. All right, people. Until next time, we out of here. Peace.
Gotta go, bye. And remember, as always, he is Rob. I just look like him. Holla.
Studio. We in the studio. We in the studio. With Rob in the studio. In the studio. In the studio. Catch a vibe in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. With Rob. We in the studio. In the studio. We in the studio. Catch a vibe. Yeah, I'm in the studio with Rob. I need to make the heat flicker. Is alone and only thing can make a Rico beat sicker. So listen and get your wisdom. Gemstones on your head. Good with the OG like Flintstones. Good in bed. Been living a long time and he got something to say. Depending on how you feeling, dog, you might got something to pray. This type of influence that you ain't gotta filter through your liver. We in the studio with Rob. Come let the heat rock simmer.